Moonshine lullabies under a starry sky, the smell of sweat and a day gone by, the calming sound of crickets and achy joints and pain when the mind is quiet enough to hear the rain.
Well everyone, it looks like I'm off to a flying start for my 2-week survival wilderness experience in Sweden without any food in my backpack. Last year I went to Norway for 30 days without a tent, and this time I'm going to try to go without food. This proposition actually daunted me for a while, but then when I went to the Information Bureau at the end of the High Coast Trail, which we walked for 10 days, they gave me some great information about like places I could stay and sort of wild foods that are available, and also what the fishing situation is like. I was getting really concerned about the fishing, because not the fishing itself, but getting bait like worms and stuff, because I had real problems in Norway. But turns out I haven't even left the town yet, as you can see, and it's been raining, and lo and behold, look what we have. Yes, that's right. I'm already getting bait along the way as I'm going, so that's an amazing start. Let's see how we go later. Day one continues. Well, I got quite a few worms from the highway, and now I'm well away from the highway. This is the most isolated lake I could find within a reasonable time and distance, and I've been scanning the area for available foodstuffs, and of course there are plenty of these, as you can see, these berries around. I've dropped in a couple of lines with the worms that I found on the highway. We'll see what happens there. And but mushrooms, the edible types, seem to be quite scarce at the moment. But I got my first score, which is this particular one. Now that's pretty big and old, but in these sort of times, you can't afford to be choosy, because I'm already getting hungry and I'm getting really worried. I like to eat a lot, so well, we'll see how that goes, and the more I walk around, the more I'll get familiar with where things grow, and hopefully things will improve as time goes on. My walk around the forest, or around the lake, proved to be quite bountiful, and it's amazing the variety of edible mushrooms that I actually ended up finding. Most of these, including this one, these two here, this one here, doesn't matter if they've been eaten by slugs or anything, they're still edible. They're all a species of bolete, which apparently are all edible. We'll see by tomorrow. And I was also very lucky I never found these before. These are actually what are they? Yellow stem, yellow foot chanterelles. So all these will be going in the pot now, tonight, and hopefully they'll serve as a great source for the fish that I'm very optimistic about catching later this evening. Fishing success also on the first day. A couple of little redfin, or perch as they might be called, and that's all nice, and I caught them right here next to my tent, but because I'm in bear country I just realised that maybe that's not such a good idea, so I'll probably have to go and clean them somewhere else.
It's free to dream and free to scream. Oh, can you tell me finer things, like a fish out of water flapping about, or a bird with a broken.
Here we have the morning of day 2 of my survival hike. Here you can see what's left of yesterday's fish, all the bones and all the heads and things. I'm making a sort of a broth for breakfast that I expect to perhaps filter with my towel, and then here they look horrible, but there's some nice bits in there, like they're the mushrooms that I boiled yesterday, and hopefully together with the broth it will make a reasonably appetizing meal. And well, for lunch I've got these fish waiting here. Luckily last night the bears didn't come and steal them away. I'm sort of a bit worried about that happening, and I don't know how serious that might be. Last night, oh my God, it poured with rain, and there's thunder and rain, and you see I parked my tent this is where the fire is, but I put it here in a sheltered place because with lots of firewood around it, and the tent I chose by the lake, which is that way, for the purpose that there might be more air flow and ventilation to stop the condensation in my tent, in my bivvy tent. Well, the bivvy tent last night, they certainly did a good job of keeping the rain away, but it's really causing condensation on my sleeping bag. That's going to be constant throughout this trip, I think. So there's high maintenance issues with regard to that. I'm feeling quite settled now, and I realise that this is going to be a long process of getting used to. My biggest problem now is I'm running out of those worms that I got on the highway. Fish, I think, would be I'll be eating berries during the day all the time, and fish will be my main source of protein, I think. The mushrooms are going to be harder and harder to eat, I think, as time goes on. Yes, I'm about to embark on my first true foraging expedition. I'm going to try to keep these embers alive by, this is an experiment, by getting some of this moss and just putting it over the top like this, and that will kind of starve the whole lot of oxygen, hopefully, and in addition, this is an experiment, see how it works. I'll put these nice little what do they call these, redfin, on top of the moss, like so. Well, you can see the steam already coming through there. Put these on top there, and on top of that another layer of moss, which I've got here. Put that over the top, like so. Well, it looks a bit ridiculous. There's a bit of air coming in down the bottom here. Hopefully they'll kind of keep the embers under control and keep the thing nicely smouldering for the hours that I'm away. That's the theory. We'll see what the result is when I come back. Well, as I mentioned earlier, I was getting really worried about finding worms for fishing. You know, it's a cornerstone of like my expectations out here, and like for a whole day I was looking in the forest. I couldn't find any worms, and I looked in everywhere in all sorts of different environments. Not a single one, not a sign of a single worm. And I was beginning to resign myself to the fact that I'm just going to have to do without. But I didn't give up. I thought I'd try a different environment, and I came down from the hills, and I came onto this field. And I had this theory that with all the rains and all the flooding, that perhaps these sort of areas where they live in the grass, that they might be coming to the surface to breathe, because there's so much water underneath. So now I got this method down now where you'd find a patch of grass like this, and hopefully you won't be disappointed. It won't take long. I hope you get the idea. And here we go. Look, here's a tiny one, right? But there are much bigger ones too, and every one counts as far as I'm concerned. Here's another little one. Yeah, so that's just great news. That means I'll be able to stock up and probably move on tomorrow to a more bountiful, to more remote area, and hopefully more bountiful different types of fish.
Had a lovely walk, stepped in shade, came complain. Oh, can you tell me finer things? Moonshine lullabies under a starry sky, the smell of sweat and a day gone by.
Ahem. After that foraging mission and that experiment with the moths, well, it certainly has preserved the fire. But there's the fire has actually beaten the damp moss, and that'll be a lesson for me. This is all that's left. Charcoal grilled fish. I was really looking forward to eating them today. No, that's another lesson learnt. I reckon if I stayed around and watched it a bit, then they would obviously cook and not overcook. Okay, after my first foraging expedition, let's see what we got today. Remember yesterday I got plenty enough mushrooms and that sort of thing, and there was only one thing really in mind that I had today, and I did get a couple of extra things though. Basically what I got along the way was some fresh sorrel and some birch bark for a rainy day, literally. That stuff is very, very important, and it was this morning when I was trying to get the fire started. So I've got some salad for this evening, for the evening's meal. But most importantly, check this out. Here we go. This is the special bag. Watch this. Come out guys, come on. Out you come. Look at this. Look at that. Look at all these beautiful, beautiful worms. Can you imagine how much food I can catch with those? So I've cracked the worm code, and so now I'm feeling much better and much more at ease. Well, it's now day 3, the morning, and I've got to say that for about half the time that I've been here, it's been raining, but I learned to deal with that in my Norway trek, so that's not bothering me too much. It's time to leave camp because mainly the fish that I'm catching here are quite small and require quite a bit of effort and worms to catch them, and I'm sure there must be better places. There's only one type of fish here, which is perch, and so there's definitely got to be more bountiful places. This is only the first place I found after the start. So yeah, I haven't been hungry yet, and I'm about to start packing here. And as I was reeling in my lines, the biggest catch yet, as you can see, this guy, this beautiful redfin or perch, is the biggest so far. Yeah, and it's almost tempting to stay here, but anyway, he's guaranteeing that I will have dinner tonight. So for lunch I can just forage along the way and already have dinner. So yeah, the pace of life here is much slower than on the trail, and you've got to learn to notch down a few gears to actually take time to assess your situation and see opportunity. Otherwise you run past opportunities, and I'm really enjoying the change of pace, and actually feeling really good at the moment, even despite the weather. The fact that I'm not feeling hungry. I've been just living off the land for 3 days. It's kind of very satisfying. As I'm hiking along to find my new place, I now find that I can be much more selective about the types of mushroom that I'm gathering. These are like very fresh, young, firm ones of a certain type. The older ones were kind of look like that, which yesterday I gathered, and they're very hard to get down because they're very slimy and disgusting. These ones should be so much better. Well, here's the first real casualty for the survival hike. A brand new, beautiful sleeping bag has suffered my anxious efforts to try to get it. It rained all day yesterday and the night before, and over these 4 days, it's day 4 now. Yeah, the rain is really taking over. It's not the food that's actually beating me. It's once again it's the weather in September in Scandinavia. Today it looks like the sun's going to... See, what I was trying to do here was, like last time in Norway, rig up this thing to dry things out. But it turns out, even though the fire is really far away, this material isn't very heat resistant, which I didn't know. And yeah, I'm trying not to worry about that too much. Because of the rain, it means I'm going to really have to get my act together here, you know. A lot of energy and time now is going to be spent drying things out and just trying to keep dry rather than actually getting food, you know, food and stuff that will give me energy to keep going. I'm not hungry at the moment. Yesterday, despite the rain, I caught a few small fish, and yes, I have learnt to eat them, heads, guts and all, cooked of course. And yeah, well, this is still morning. I'm just manning the tent to dry that out, the bivvy tent. It's pretty much chaos. Okay, still on day 4. I'm kind of forced to leave this seat. Hopefully nothing bad will happen while I'm gone. I've got my worm bag for worms here, and this is my foraging bag. That hopefully at least the foraging bag will be full when I come back. Maintenance is a big issue, but I can't ignore the fact that I have to eat. So that's exactly what I'm doing while the weather is good. Yeah, there's no clouds around, so let's hope that everything will be fine. This morning, as I was stuffing myself with berries, and I really am quite full, I found these chanterelle mushrooms just by accident, and I got a good haul of worms today too on the field. And while I was looking for the worms, I found this sorrel. So what I'm going to try and do now is kind of boil the two together and see what comes of it.
Moonshine lullabies under a starry sky, the smell of sweat and a day gone by, the calming sound of crickets and aching joints and pain when the mind is quiet enough to hear the rain.
Day 5 now, and I'm just by the campfire doing some preparing my fishing, optimizing my whatever I've got of fishing gear, going through quite a bit of tackle, losing hooks and sinkers. It's a bit of a worry, but that's the least of my worries actually. It is finally reality check time, and I've come to the realization that on this hike, it's I thought it was all about going hungry and not having enough food. That's a big part of it, but just like in Norway, it's about the weather, it's about the rain and staying dry and keeping morale up where we can stay focused on what needs to be done. I really need to rethink of what I'm doing. I should switch off from looking for food, and first and foremost, when I'm hiking and looking for places and planning my strategies, is to think about getting wet, how I deal with getting wet. Yesterday it was very dreary and depressing, I've got to say. The motherlode! I can't believe it when I stumbled across these chanterelles on my day 5 hike. Oh my god, I've never seen so many in one place, or in any place for that matter. I mean, look at them. I mean, some of them are really big, and I don't think my bag's even going to be big enough to carry all of them. Now, what that really means for me is great news. I don't have to look for mushrooms now for quite a while, quite a few days. I expect that if I cook these up with a lot of salt, they'll last for a few days, and they'll actually complement any other meal that I make or anything. I could just eat them on their own, even though they're not very nutritional. For the people back home, it's just amazing. It's hard to comprehend how many blueberries there are here, and that's one thing that is kind of making my life a bit easier. and these aren't the easiest to pick, but you know, they don't come in bunches like some other berries do, but you know, that's about all it takes, is just to get enough to get a bit of vitamins. There's so many berries around. No wonder that there are so many bears in Sweden. Plenty for them to eat, and enough left for me as well. I hope they don't consider me being as competition. Well, it's day 6 now, and I'm taking a short hike to my new accommodation, which you're about to see. The choice was made because last night I had a long day's walk, and then in the evening I was really hungry. Didn't have much to eat. I was desperate to catch some fish, so I decided to camp by the lake, and caught no fish, and the consequence was, like, it was windy, cold, and a lot of moisture, and it got so cold even by 10 o'clock at night I couldn't sleep anymore, and I had to go through a whole lot of measures and a bit of thinking out of the box to actually make it through the night and get some sleep, and it had a lot to do with the fireplace there, and some little tricks and whatever, and it worked out well, and it actually was quite cozy, so that worked out fine. And during the day today I did some reconnaissance, stuffed myself with berries, caught a couple of really nice fish, well, for this hike they're nice sized fish, and so got plenty of food for dinner, got some mushrooms as well. The rain stopped obviously, and all I need to do now is just spend one comfortable night and sleep well, because tomorrow I want to have a proper hiking day, and get further inland, and before I start slowly kind of contemplating how I'm going to make my way back to civilization when I finish.
Free to dream and free to scream. What can you tell me? Finer things.
Believe it or not, I'm getting close now to my accommodation for tonight. I scouted this cabin this morning on my morning's forage, and we'll have a look inside now. Okay, what have we got here? 4 quarters. It's a bit dark. Place for chopping wood, and just general rough sort of stuff, I suppose. No windows. And this looks like the main part here. Wow, this is huge. It's much too big for me, but I mean, it's meant to be used. So, well, there's tables, and looks like a place here where I can plot my journey, and no beds, but these, no, they're not very sturdy. I'll just sleep on the ground, doesn't matter. But oh, look at this, a cooking stove, so that's where I'll be making dinner. It'll be nice and warm and dry, everything, and be totally ready for the next few days. Once again, a lot of moisture and a lot of condensation.
I have a place to sleep, my belly is full, I can't complain. Oh, can you tell me finer things?
While I'm in still semi-civilized conditions in the cabin, I decided to try and make the tastiest possible breakfast from what I've got available. This is from last night's leftovers and head from last night's meal and yesterday's meals of fish. And here we've got some remnants of mushrooms. They're choice mushrooms, really nice ones. And here we've got my tin can with a towel over the top. So what I'm going to do first is take this broth, which has been like really boiled for a long time. I'll take that, and hopefully without burning myself, take it and pour it on, filter it through the towel like so. Oops, just let it all filter through there for a while. Then I can take the edges up, let it drip, and then I'll just get these tasty wild mushrooms in there. That sounds great, doesn't it? Tell you what, everything tastes great out here, but this should be really special in some way. And the only thing that I'm carrying with me is this little container. It's got a bit of allspice and salt, and so if I can just get the lid off, and it also doubles as a fishing line, as you can see. Take this lid off and put some of this salt and flavouring in, like that, and I'll pour that in a cup and see how it tastes. Yeah, here goes the broth. Oh, that tastes superb. Absolutely superb. The tastiest thing I've had the whole trip. Now see how the mushrooms as well on here. Yeah, the two really seem to complement each other, so that's really good. That's a good breakfast, and then I'll fill myself up with berries during the day. Well, I caught the biggest fish so far yesterday evening. It was a big surprise. This pike actually should be enough food for at least 2 days, so that's a real relief. And now I'm just thinking of how to process it and transport it. And the easiest thing that I decided was to actually use the axe to cut it up like into manageable pieces that I can pack away conveniently in this container. How's that? The whole thing fitted in there. Job done.
Moonshine lullabies under a starry sky, the smell of sweat and a day gone by, the common sound.
With day 7 coming to a close, been hiking for most of the day, and I'm starting to look for a place to stay tonight, and the only way to go is that way. And this is the first sign. I know they're around in Sweden, right? These guys, but now they've made this sign look so intimidating. I'm finding it's really scary. I'm sure it's no different from a lot of the other places that I've been camping in and whatever, but that sign certainly kind of brought it home. You know, that there are a lot of bears around here. I'm kind of guessing that it's all fine, because now is the season when they're fattening up with berries, and there's so many berries around, and that's all they eat, and that's all they're interested in. So I hope so. But just a reminder also that I should keep my cooking fire away from where I sleep as well. Now it's getting late. Time to find a nice sheltered place. At least the weather's good. When it comes to cooking fish in the open, I've found that the simplest ways are often the best, and that would mean, in this case, taking these slices of pike that I caught yesterday or the day before, and just putting them straight in the pan. saying, something like this, and getting a bit of pouring in a little bit of water so they don't stick. Remember, I have no butter or no oil or anything with me, and then just put them on the fire, and they'll be ready in no time. Just had a beautiful breakfast of the lake that I caught, feeling full, feeling relaxed, because this is the first time I've had to, I could afford not to do any fishing and choose the sort of camping place that I would in these increasingly cold temperatures. It's now, it's below zero, very frosty morning, but all my stuff is dry because I dried it out in the cabin, and it's staying dry because of the cold and because of the forest environment that I'm camping in. It's very sheltered here, and there's not very much moisture, plenty of resource, so I can just comfortably sit here and enjoy the environment without bitterly cold winds and all the moisture that comes with camping near a lake, which is necessary for me because I need to catch the fish, and that's my first objective today, is to actually go and find those fish, and unfortunately camp next to a probably cold and moist area, like near the lake somewhere. This is great, and I'm still looking forward to it, and the bear danger, well, just have to live with that, I suppose. It's day 9, and it's coming towards the end of the day, and wow, so much happens in one day. I don't know where to start. Yesterday I finished off that pike for dinner. I found a place by a lake again, and the choice mushrooms that I had, and that was a really good meal. But I was left with nothing after that, and I better hope I can catch some fish or something, because I didn't even have mushrooms anymore. Caught a couple of little ones, and thought, okay, at least it'll be something to taste in the morning. And the sun is, it's almost getting dark, and I'm pulling in my last line. This is serious, my last line, and it's tangled around some weeds. I go, oh damn weeds, whatever. And I keep tugging, thinking it's going to break, and then I finally get it free, and I feel like there's something kicking at the end. My God, it's really heavy. And finally I end up pulling out this 1 kilogram perch, like big, the biggest one I've ever caught. And as it's flapping around on the rock, it spits out like a fish that's like bigger than this, that had actually eaten my worm that was actually on the hook. So I caught the big fish with the small fish that actually was on the hook, and that was, man, talk about lucky. You can imagine the feeling I had. It wasn't so much catching a big fish, it's just knowing they're going to have a good breakfast. So I had a good breakfast this morning. The other half of the fish I'm going to have this evening, and I'm very excited. Very excited about this camp spot that I've finally found. It took a bit of work, but here is there's a lake down there and a flat spot for camping. Seems to be plenty of firewood around. The wind's blowing this way, but I think it'll calm down in the evening, hopefully. Beautiful kind of slip going down here. Beautiful views. It's a very narrow, very deep, narrow lake, and this part here, where I'm going to be camping, is the inlet. So I'm really optimistic about my prospects of catching something really good, because I've got a full bag of worms, And
how would you like to wake up to a view like this in the morning? Yeah, well, the weather certainly has turned in my favour. What a beautiful place. And not only beautiful, but it's been quite productive. It's day 10. Skies are clear, and only problem here is that I had real trouble getting a fire going because it's mainly aspen, like half rotten wood around here, and it's wet. It takes a while to get burning. And well, anyway, this was the fruits of yesterday's fishing. So yes, it's been quite productive, and what we have here is probably enough fish here now for breakfast, and the rest I'll be keeping for dinner. It's always good to know that you have something in reserve for dinner, because you never know when your next meal is going to arrive. So well, I'm basically feeling really content right now. It doesn't feel like surviving, you know. Doing the things I love and in the places that I love and the camping that I love, as long as the weather's fine, you know. Yeah, not much to complain about at the moment. Another hiking day today. As the weather keeps good, there's no point in hanging around in any one place. I might as well hike around and see as much as I can while I've still got time. Only a few more days to go now.
I have a place to sleep, my belly is full, I can't complain. Oh, can you tell me finer things? Moonshine lullabies under a starry sky, the smell of sweat.
Oh my God, I'm trembling all over. This place I chose to camp was, for one main reason, was the clear water, and I hope that I will catch something like this. Now, this is a trout or salmon of some sort with a red belly. I don't recognize it, even though I probably should. Wow, like this is still early in the day, and usually they start moving when it's a bit later. So I'm going to start thinking this could be if this continues, this might be the last time I'll have to catch fish for this survival hike. But my God, look at that, it's so beautiful. It's the biggest trout type thing I've ever caught, and I'm speechless.
Fish out of water, flapping about, or a bird with a broken wing. Oh, can you tell me finer things? Moonshine lullabies under a starry sky, the smell of sweat and a day gone by, the calming sound of crickets and ache joints and pain when the mind is quiet.
I'm a bit disappointed about today. The hike was good and everything and all that, but now I'm getting close to civilization, and just like every other time I chose a lake, and I took it now for granted that, you know, it's going to have all the attributes that I've been getting until now, but it's all kind of swampy around the edges and with reeds, so it's not really appropriate for, you know, my needs, which means basically I don't think I can catch fish tonight. The only food I have in reserve is you know, the food that I made this morning. Yes, tomorrow I'm going to go hungry. I didn't forage today because I was feeling confident about catching fish today. So yes, and tomorrow I'll be in an area where I won't be able to forage because I'm going to go into the town and to confirm that my transport really does depart the following day, like you know, I've been told it does, and that whole day will be going into town, confirming that, and then finding another place to camp. But I'm not sure I can gather enough food. It's evening now, and that's
that's what I have to eat. Tomorrow I'm going to go hungry. I really am. For the first time. So yeah, that's a bit of irony. Getting out of remote locations is never simple, and this is no exception. As you recall, I finished the High Coast Trail, which terminated in Ormskoldsvik. From there, over these 13 days, I've kind of been meandering through, northwards to this point here called Hemling. The reason being that that's a place where I actually can get transport back to Ormskoldsvik and then to Stockholm. The lady said, well, I looked at the timetable. My hike has been cut short because the only one of 2 buses in 1 week leaves on Saturday, which is tomorrow, and I have to be there at 8 o'clock in the morning to catch that bus back to Ormskoldsvik. Here's my last cup of pine needle tea, and last night I actually decided to save the mushrooms for the morning. So this morning I actually aren't going hungry. I'm having some of these mushrooms, and wow, I've really perfected this recipe. There's quite a bit of fish stock in there, and it's really giving it some extra flavour. And these sort of things kind of develop as you go. Actually, when food for all of us is a very important issue, and it's one thing that's fascinating me about this whole trip, of course. And some interesting things happen. On a trip like this, you undergo a lot of changes, and in the beginning, it was all very panicked, and I was just grasping for whatever I could, because the thought of getting hungry, panicked me. I couldn't live with the thought of not having lunch or a dinner or anything like that. Well, in time, those concepts of lunch and dinner kind of fade into obscurity. If you find something along the way that's edible, you'll just eat it there on the spot and fill up during the day. And and the food that I'm eating now is, I wouldn't eat any of it in this form probably at home, and it was going to be one of those great compromises. And in the first few days, which are very hard, if you remember, they were more about staying dry than about eating. But in the first few days, what I really missed, it's not that I went really hungry. What I really missed was just the things from home, like chocolate and junk food, hamburgers and all that, and they were obsessing my mind all the time. And I thought, how am I going to handle this, over almost 2 weeks? Because it was driving me nuts. But the thing is, I wasn't actually hungry, but I had cravings, and those cravings still come. I still have them now. But what's happened over time is, what I thought would happen is the food, you start to have your staple. You have your mushrooms, your berries and your fish. I thought I'd get sick of the food, especially with, very limited capacity for flavouring and all that sort of thing. But what's actually happened is, rather than getting sick of the food that I've been eating, I'm actually been getting used to it. And I'm getting those cravings less and less from all the things that I remember from back home. So I seem to have gone through a sort of process of acceptance, and your memory fades of all that you're used to, and it's focused only on what is available at here and now. And the way you gauge your taste buds and what you like is only, it becomes more in reference to what now rather than what was back in that world. It's very interesting. This is only a short time, actually. I can imagine over a long time you would actually pretty much those cravings for what you're used to could possibly go away completely. Time to start packing now. Reluctantly as it would be, believe it or not. These days, especially the last 5 days, have been a total eye-opener for me. I think I've really discovered something that's worth exploring more, and just the peace and the contentment and simply the feeling of well-being I've had over the last few days is I can't even describe. I mean, it's all, a lot of it's thanking to the good weather I had, and just doing the things, all the things about nature, and immersing myself in nature that I love to do. And there's never a moment of boredom. You're always active. You're always doing something. You're always, doing stuff, and it's never boring. And you're doing the stuff that you love, and the things that you see, and the experiences you have, and everything this is what I call total nature immersion, and the purest form that I can think of hiking. And it's something that it looks like, a bit of a history of hiking is building up to, for me. That's for me personally, of course. That's why I am reluctant to finish now. And there's, there could be one more night out here, but because of practical issues, I have to pop into Hemling today, which means leaving this last little bit of forest and heading for farmlands and roads and highways, which is a total desert for me. There's nothing there like that served this hike that is of interest, apart from worms, which I don't need anymore either. So as far as this hike is concerned, it's over once I reach civilization. And I've got to check in there and see how I'm going to get to the bus stop at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Maybe there's a chance somewhere to camp in a forest, but it won't be no longer in the it can't be in the confines of the of this particular hike. So yeah, this is it, folks. It's not the end of the adventure, but it's the end of the hike, unfortunately. If only these guys knew how lucky they are. There you go, buddies. That's it. Don't need you anymore. Yep, go forth and multiply, my friends. Bye-bye.
Moonshine lullabies under a starry sky, the smell of sweat and a day gone by, the calming sound of crickets and aching joints and pain when the night is wide enough to...
I love you, Sweden! Well, I made it to Hemling, right, the town where I'm supposed to leave tomorrow morning, and I didn't even know if they had a shop or anything. And but I went up there, they had a shop, and made a few purchases. And in the meantime, because of, well, you see, the adventure isn't over yet, because of the windstorm that's raging around at the moment. The power went out while I was shopping, but luckily they had a power backup, so I was able to make my purchase. And they confirmed that yes, the bus does leave tomorrow morning when I expected, and I went and confirmed also with somebody else that was the thing. The only remaining thing was, where am I going to sleep tonight? And Sweden comes through again. Just on the outskirts of town, next to this beautiful, beautiful river here, we have this beautiful shelter with a barbecue. Back there in that shed is full of wood, firewood. Plenty of room here on one of these benches to sleep. And I've been walking quite a bit. It's time for me to rest. And
celebrate a little bit. Like the big celebration is when I'll get to my destination tomorrow. But for today, I've already had a bar of chocolate. Got some chalk corn chips for dinner. Still something basic, you know. I'm used to basic food now. Some spicy noodles with lots of flavour, and something also that I've been dreaming about for a long time. Well, it's not exactly Swedish, this stuff, but a few well-deserved beers, I think, after this expedition. So yeah, so I think I'll just sit back for a while, relax, and enjoy the storm outside, and then yeah, and sleep here tonight. Cheers. Looks like that's it. My final morning after yesterday's windstorm. Must say goodbye to my final camp place, which was the perfect place to be for the last night. And now slowly making my way to Hemling, where there's a bus stop to Oskolsvik. And just look back here. Look at these trees now. After yesterday's storm, it looks like the soul's been torn out of autumn. You know, it's there was a big windstorm, and the electricity was down all day yesterday. So yeah, pretty serious. Yeah. Anyway, after I get to Oskolsvik, there's another 5 or 6 hour bus ride to Stockholm. So still quite a long trip, but as far as this hike is concerned and everything, well, I could say, well, we'll have to say it's over, and thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and you might be inspired by some things that you've seen, and be sure that you'll be seeing much more to come on the Trekheads Facebook page and YouTube channel, and you can also see us on Twitter. So until next time.
Moonshine lullabies under a starry sky, the smell of sweat and a day gone by, the calming sound of crickets in achy joints and pain, when the mind is quiet enough to hear the rain, when it's free to dream and free to scream. Oh, can